funny. In this place you'll laugh right down from your belly. So get in here, you half a queer. It's time for Calta and Kelly.
That's for you.
Welcome to Calta and Kelly. I'm Mike Calta, and Bobby Kelly has AIDS. Look at him now.
He looks fantastic.
Mike Cannon is nice enough to sit in today, so I don't have to do the show and talk to myself alone like I'm some sort of Eastern Czechoslovakian girl trying to raise money on the internet. Good to see you back at the whorehouse, Mike.
Yep. Still here, desperately seeking for an alternative, but still here.
When did Mike and his family moved in, temporarily with your in-laws, or were you like, let's move in here and figure out what we're gonna do?
It was supposed to be for like a few weeks. I think we moved in April and we still had our apartment, and then we ended up breaking our lease in May.
And where are they?
They're right now, or
no, I mean, where is it? What city?
Oh, in Blauvelt, in Rockland County, New York. So Blauvelt, so Orangetown area.
Still have easy access to the city and stuff.
Honestly, it's sometimes easier than it was from Brooklyn.
I would ride that shit out as long as you can. Are they cool with it, or are you starting to get the vibe like they want you to get the fuck out?
They're very cool. I think I mean, they're on vacation right now. Their anniversary is today, so they went to Costa Rica. But I think they're definitely cool. They love the grandson being here. They love all that. But we're looking to have audible sex at some point in our married future.
That's they are too. That's why they're away for their
yeah. They're beating up some bamboo this weekend.
How old is your kid? Because I want to tell you something that's very depressing.
He just turned 2.
Mine will be 15 next week. Today, because Florida goes to school early, today was his first day of school. He has 2 more first days of school left.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was fucking very depressing today.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. Oh, man.
I mean, obviously, hope he goes to college and all that shit, but the truth is he's got 2 more days, 2 more first days of school left. I was like, ooh, that hurt me right in the stomach today, yeah.
Of in-home first day of school. Like you're driving, all that. Wow.
That's why I was thinking your in-laws, like, I mean, I would think that most in-laws would probably be like, so when are they going to get the fuck out? But not me. Like, I know the minute that my kids leave, I'm going to want them to come back. And this is Bobby and I talk about this all the time. Bobby knew my son when he was like 3 or 4. I mean, he knew my wife before she had the baby, but he really met my son a couple of times. We went swimming and we hung out when he was like 4 years old. And then he comes here and he sees him like at 11 and 14. Now my son's a man. And Bobby gets depressed because he's like, I know that's going to happen with my son. I know my son's going to get old, and it happens before you know it.
Oh my God. Yeah, that hasn't dawned on me at all. I'm like 100% in the this is how it's going to be forever phase. And I know at some point it's going to shatter me because I'm an emotional person at homeostasis.
Right.
So with him, it's like completely elevated times 10 exponentially. I'm like on the verge of tears at all times.
Oh, I know. It would freak me out. All right. They're saying my mic is low. Mush, how bad is it?
It's better now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. It seemed like the volume leveler was not catching up to you.
So my board is right over here to my right. And sometimes when I move my monitor, I smack my volume button down. Sorry. Anyway, I had the opportunity to do stand-up this weekend, and I did 4 shows with Bobby the weekend before when he was in Port Charlotte. And then I kind of liked it. Like I had a little groove going. I only did like 7-8 minutes, but it was easy and it was fun and all that. And then Steve Byrne was in town. He was like, hey, would you come out? And I was like, fuck yeah. So I'm like, shit, that's 2 weeks in a row. And now we're really getting into it.
Yeah.
And I got sick as fuck and I didn't get the chance to do it. And I was like, oh, maybe God's trying to tell me I'm not that funny.
Let me ask you this. Do you go up there with do you write out an act, or do you have just topics you want to talk about?
So I write down notes in the notes section on my iPhone all the time, mostly for stuff for the show, like just stuff I want to talk about on the show. And I'm see if I can pull some up and see. Like I never do like a full show prep. I'll just write, hey, why does that guy have 2 different color eyes? Something to talk about. And so when Bobby says, will you go up and do time? I'll go through those notes and try to pick a couple of things real quick. And it's amazing how good he is at formulating a joke, because I did this thing where I went up and I told a story about how women or people always tell me when they see my wife because she's pretty, they're always like, "You are one lucky guy," and I'm like, "Lucky." I'm like, "This bitch hasn't worked in 8 years. She lives in a mansion and has a BMW." And I just go on to think, I'm like, which one of us is the fucking lucky one? And then I had this follow up thing that was like, no, I'm just kidding. I said, if it wasn't for her, I said, I make money now, but when I met her, I had a 300 credit score. I'd still be living with Pete in an apartment playing PlayStation. And Bobby goes, and that was just like a dumb throwaway thing. And Bobby goes, say PS1. And I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, just say PS1. And I was like, okay. Dude, I said it and it killed like it was the funniest joke ever. I was like, holy shit, the difference between just a couple of words.
It's super bizarre, man. So everybody has a camera person that's basically following them around, and they film all of our sets and all that shit. So I got a guy who's been following me to shows, and he's like kind of tinkering with comedy, but he's mostly a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And so he's watching like all these jokes kind of take shape. And he's like that, where he takes these notes, and I never asked him to do it, but he's like, "Oh, you switched this word." He's like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "Well, because sometimes it was a feeling in the moment. I wanted to see if it got a better reaction." He's like, "It did better." And I was like, "I know." And he's like, "But it's one word." I was like, "I know."
I feel very comfortable going up in front of any stage because I don't care what happens. I could get booed, I could bomb, I don't give a fuck. But I think once you've done that, once you've achieved that, you're 80% of the way there. Then the jokes, because I think of all the comedians that I saw, like the middle guys and guys that I saw that were not famous at side splitters since in the early 90s, and they were mediocre at best, but I left there and I was like, oh, that guy was fucking great. Because just if they look comfortable up there, it's all you really need.
Yeah, you know what's funny, because you're not only comfortable because you've had thousands of hours of mic time, and you also don't care, but you also could physically beat up anybody in the crowd. There is a calm that comes with that. Like the people that I've seen that are good at comedy that also have like a fight background.
Yeah,
there's this extra level of like, there's truly nothing you could do. Like not just from an embarrassment level, but you couldn't even get up and fight me if you don't like what I say.
Right. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to say this here, and I've kind of hinted at this recently on my radio show, but my toughness is 85% fake. I can't remember. The last time I got in a fight, I broke the bone in my right hand, punching a guy in the head, and the fight was a draw. I don't want to get hit by anybody anymore. I'm not saying that if you try to snatch one of my kids, I won't beat the fuck out of you, but I talk a tough game. I used to think, this is how ignorant I was at the time. I used to think that I could beat up Uriah Faber from the UFC. And my reasoning behind that was I just felt like if I could just grab him and fall on top of him, there was nothing he could do. And then I watched more of his fights, and next time I talked to him on the air, I apologize for even having that thought for a second.
He didn't even know about it, but you were like,
no.
Just out of respect for my own thoughts, I want to tell you.
I said I have probably 2 feet and 250 pounds on you, and I still apologize for even thinking it for a second. He's like, yeah, you're right. Apology accepted.
Yeah.
I do, however, think that if faced with the consequence of getting hurt or not, I could fight a bobcat. I don't want to. I'm not going to go try to see one. I'm not going to try to wrangle it. But if one had me cornered, I feel like I could get close enough to choke it out.
I see. That's interesting that you say that, because I think I like the idea of a dull beating more than a sharp cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a club or whatever. It's like, all right, whatever. Take my body, but the scratching and fucking cutting of your body.
Have you ever been hit hard, like in the head?
Yeah. Like punched or with an item?
Both.
Well, yeah, actually both. I've accidentally hit my head. I've intentionally been hit in the face. I mean, I've been punched in the face a bunch of times. Yeah, but nothing like, I've never taken a bat to the head, obviously.
I've taken a bat to the head. Luckily, the guy didn't want to kill me. And it was my bat.
Oh
my
God.
buddies and I got into a shouting match with some rednecks, and when they turned around to come back, I was like, oh, here we go. And when they opened the door, it was like Walking Dead. We were like, how many fucking people they have in that car? It was like 4 of us and like 50 of them. And I went, oh shit. So I tried at the last second to reach in and grab a bat, and like by the time I pulled it out, the guys were already there. I mean, I'm talking about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And then the guy had like 2 guys were holding me, and the one guy had the bat, and I was like, oh, he's gonna kill me. and he kind of swung it and stopped, and then he banged me in the head with it. And I thought, man, if I took that at full swing, that would have hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Dude, I remember watching like my first high school party that I went to. My friend Brendan, he had older brothers, so they had like kind of a real party, not just their friends, like circles of friends, and then it kind of blew up to outward towns, and it just became 200 people in this kid's, poor parents' house.
Always.
There was a huge fucking fight. Weirdly enough, my current wife's cousin started the entire thing. It spilled into the front yard, and bottles were being broken over this kid's head, like all this crazy shit where this kid was almost left for dead. Cops came, he got away. But my buddies and I were so struck at how easily it looked like the bottle was broken over his head that we tried it on each other. And we were like, fucked up for wit, because I think I hit myself here and just split something wide open, was like bleeding. My other buddy was he threw up, so he was clearly concussed. We never took him to the doctor. I'm sure he took a nap right after.
You ready for the best confession ever? I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but in high school I worked at a movie theater and at a Friendly's ice cream store in the mall. Are you familiar with Friendly's? They still have those there?
Oh, hell yeah.
Home of the Reese's Pieces sundae?
Yes.
Well, the movie we had for the summer was Cocktail with Tom Cruise, where he would spin the bottles and do all that shit. So while I was there at Friendly's on the day shift, I was trying to spin the shaker cups on my hand and do those things. And I took a red scoop, which was the bigger of the two scoops, and I tried to do a thing where I bounced off the counter and caught it, and I bounced it up, and it shot back, and it hit me on the bridge of my nose, cut my nose. Right, I was bleeding like crazy, and it was just because I was trying to act like Tom Cruise in Cocktail. That's the worst thing I've ever done, and I've never told anybody that. Right across the bridge of my nose.
Oh my God!
That's how I know that bottles hurt. But years later, somebody broke a bottle over my head without me knowing it was coming, and that really didn't hurt at all.
Really? That's so weird.
It was, we used to put on these big festival concerts, and then there was a campground. I wanted to go through the campground one day and kind of see what they were doing. So me and a couple of the girls from the front office and a couple other guys, we just went walking through the campground. And somebody recognized me, and I stopped and talked to them for a little while, and the girls walked ahead. And then when I looked up, the girls were getting surrounded by guys, and I was like, all right, I got to get them out of here. So I walked over there and I grabbed the girls. Some guy kind of stepped, and I just pushed them off a little bit, and then I grabbed the girls and I walked, because I knew that we were outnumbered and we were all going to get raped. So we start walking away. Yeah, we start walking, and all of a sudden I just heard footsteps coming up quick, and I heard it, so I turned, and the guy hit me over the head with a bottle, and it broke, and the bottle must have been at least half full, and it was dark, so I couldn't tell if I was massively bleeding or if that was whatever the content of the bottle was. So I kept trying to see and so I had to go over to a campfire to look at my hand, and my hand was all clear, and I had hardly just like a little speck of blood. But the worst thing in my mind the entire time was, that motherfucker just hit me with a bottle. I don't know what he looks like, and he'll get away with it. The good thing is that my best friend from New York was there, who had just won MTV's #1 inline skater in the country contest.
Oh, shit.
And he hauled ass after this guy, and by the time I made sure I was okay and I looked up, they got him. They fucking held him down and beat the shit out of him. And by the time I walked over there, I was like, I'm gonna kill this guy. And when I walked over there, I looked at him, his face was so mangled, I just went, ugh, okay, we're good. I didn't even touch him.
Holy shit.
Dude, that was insane.
Dude, that is so insane. I've actually been lucky in terms of fights where I've been in big brawls and stuff that really got out of hand, but I've been unscathed. I never got a weapon pulled on me, or only actually my own friend pulled a knife to my throat because he thought some joke. He thought my first ever stand-up joke was about him for some reason, and I hadn't seen him in 4 years, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But one of my buddies actually, he walked on to the West Virginia football team. So, and he was a scout team linebacker, and he was they loved him. But he hung out with Chris Henry and Pac-Man Jones, and they had some pretty big behavioral problems at the time. So they would always get into fights at these giant ass frat parties at West Virginia. My friend was just scrapping on the front lawn of this party, and he said he got tapped, and he turned, and some dude with brass knuckles just punched his fucking jaw off his face.
Yeah.
It broke his jaw, like off his face, slapped back. He said they had to reconstruct it. They screwed it all together, had to wire his whole mouth shut. And then like a month later, we threw one of the biggest New Year's Eve parties of all time. And he was getting so blackout drunk, and I didn't drink at the time. He handed me wire cutters and said, if I throw up, you have to cut my wires.
He's like a Charlie McCarthy doll now.
Yeah. He's like, I will suffocate and die on my own vomit. He's like, you have to cut the wires. And thank God he never did.
That's like somebody carrying an EpiPen with
yes,
wire cutter. Shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why Melissa said Tom Calta, but that's my dad.
Tom Cruise, I think. Like
Tom
Cocktail.
Calta, yeah. So my dad's Tom Calta. My dad's a pretty badass. He worked at Rikers Island for 20 years as a prison guard, and he's got the scars to prove it. From my dad's real interesting because I will tell everything, and I will tell all the stories. My dad is still under the I don't talk about anything in it, but his friends are quick to tell me stories. And my dad had this. He's got this like railroad track scar on his hand. And when I was a kid, my parents were divorced. I think I told this to Bobby before. My dad said he fell down the stairs. And then years later, it was like one of his friends was like, "You didn't fall down the fucking stairs. You ever see your father fall before?" I was like, "No." And he goes, "Some guy was holding another guard prisoner with a mop wringer. He broke it off the mop, the cleaner, and he was holding the guy by the neck. And your father went in there, and the guy threw ammonia in his eyes. So your father just started blind swinging, and he punched the guy in the jaw and dislocated his jaw, and that's where he broke his hand." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So he's not the most agile guy now, but he's not falling anywhere. So I should have kind of put two and two together, and then I just started putting things together. We used to make a lot of trips to Coney Island, not Coney Island, but that area. But we'd go to the Nathans over there. Yeah, we just pull in a parking lot. And some guy would pull up next to us, and there'd be an exchange of an envelope or something or a paper bag. And then my dad go, "All right, you want a hot dog?" And I go, "Yeah, all right, hot dog." And I'd forget about everything that just happened. Then one day you turn like 20 and you're like, "Wait a second, what the fuck has been going on all that time?"
Yeah, we were going to Brooklyn for no reason. That's
the thing. There was no Nathan's in Staten Island, so it kind of made sense. We were like, "Hey, you want a hot dog?" "Yeah, all right, we're going to go to Brooklyn." And I go, "Oh, okay."
Oh, my God.
Going to the wiener truck at the baseball field, but if you want to go to Brooklyn, that's fine too.
It's a shame that there's such a code of silence with men like that. My father-in-law is similar because he was like he owned and operated all the trains that were for the Transit Authority in New York in like the 70s and 80s, and like he's seen like some real New York corruption, wild shit, you know. Yeah. And it's like his story. He's the same way as your dad, where he's like, "Yeah, you know, I can't." He's like, most of the guys are dead, but he's like, "I can't. I'm not talking about it." Right. I'm like, but dude, you got to write a book or do a limited podcast series or something. Like, it's hilarious how trained we are to like, but the content.
Right. But so my dad lives in Holiday, which is, it's north of where I am now. I'm north of Tampa. He's north of me. I mean, my dad, well, he used to live in Holiday. It's about maybe 20 minutes from here. And he would have friends that lived even further north, like cities I never heard of before. And they were old men. And I one day I realized and he couldn't call them on the phone. And I thought, these are witness relocation guys that he goes to see. They have to be, because I never met them, and he would only go there to see them.
Yeah.
And you know, he did have a long. I worked at the docks in Bayonne, New Jersey, for a couple of years in the early '90s. My dad got me a job there, and every once in a while, a guy would come up to me and go, "You Tommy Calta's kid?" I go, "Yeah." One guy's name was Hippo. Old guy, and he was like, "I'm Hippo." I go, "Oh yeah, he told me you might show up here." And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, I know your old man from camp." What the fuck is camp? And then a couple of times later, he's like, "Well," he goes, "You play poker? What do you play?" He goes, "That's all we had to do in camp was play cards." And I realized camp was jail.
Yes.
And my dad worked in the jail. He was not in the jail. So now I kind of realized, so my dad was good to the mob guys in jail. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's funny because my dad looks like Big Pussy from The Sopranos, but I have my family's not mafia at all or anything like that, but everybody kind of is, you know what I mean? Like they've all worked for somebody at some point.
Well, because they or know people, they're affiliated, the businesses kind of ran, you know, in conjunction.
Yeah, like we had a lot of, we were really poor, but we had a lot of free stuff. Like every once in a while, the neighbor would just bring fruit over, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
We'd have a lot of fruit. Now I get it.
Yeah.
My father taught me 2 great lessons in life. One is never sit on a bag of onions because it gives you hemorrhoids. Why he knows that is because he at some point worked at a fruit market, and they would stack the onions, and when you sit on them, the onions soak the moisture out of what's ever there, and it'll
Oh
pull
my-
your asshole down.
What
Therefore,
the fuck?
yeah, think about it. I don't
Is
know
that
when
why
the
vampires don't like them? Their powers in their asshole.
I don't know when the opportunity to sit on a bag of onions is gonna come up, but if you have that, you
Oh,
know,
it's not even onion, it's garlic. I'm such an idiot.
you were close enough. That was good.
Yeah.
And then the other one was one of his friends told me in the beginning when they were prison guards, they weren't making a lot of money, so they would pick up like part-time security work,
Mhm.
and they were working at a hotel. It was probably like a whorehouse somewhere in Brooklyn, and there was a peeping Tom, and they caught one of the new guys caught the peeping Tom, and then radioed to my dad and the other guy, so they went over, and they knew they really couldn't do anything. They couldn't arrest him or anything. So my father goes to the new guy. He goes, all right, you got him? He goes, all right, punch him in the face as hard as you can. And the guy was like, what? He goes, punch him in the face as hard as you can. And the guy's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's my father turned and just smashed the guy right in the face, probably broke his nose. Guy bled everywhere. And my father was like, no, get the fuck out of here. And he let him go. And the guy was like scared shitless. And he goes, why'd you do that? He goes, why? You don't punch him in the face. He's going to come back tomorrow and do the same shit again. You break his fucking nose, you'll never see him again. And that applies to everything that I ever do in my life. If you don't break their nose the first time, they'll keep coming back.
That's so funny. That's like the only self-defense lesson my father ever gave me was he's like just aim for the nose. Every single time. He's like, punch in the nose, it'll fuck them up. Nobody's ever been hit in the nose, or as soon as you get hit in the nose, shit gets real. He's like, he's like, that's the spot.
I had this fucking kid in grade school. He was in 8th grade and I was in 5th grade. And for some reason, he wasn't a very big kid, but he used to just like harass me, and he'd wait for me in the hallway and he'd jump me and he'd start punching me. And I was like, what the fuck is this kid's problem? So I told my mother, and my mother's like, go talk to Sister Rosemary, who was the principal. So I went and told her. I told my teacher, and everybody's like, oh, he's okay. He's just a jokester. I'm like, this jokester's punching me in the fucking face. So I told my mother, I'm like, I'm telling everybody, nobody wants to do anything about it. So I was taking karate at the time, like every kid was when the dojo opened up in their neighborhood. And my mother was like, talk to your karate teacher. I was like, all right. So I went up to him and I told him. And he's like, well, I could teach you some moves, but I don't want you to hurt the kid. I go, look, I'm getting my ass kicked every day and nobody wants to help me out. My mother's the one that told me to ask you. He goes, all right. So he showed me some self-defense move that had me blocking the kid and kicking him in the nuts. So the next day that fucker got me in the stairwell, I dropped my books and squared off, and he went to hit me, and I moved and kicked him in the nuts, and he went down the stairs. Like he fell like down 3 stairs, and he fell right in front of a nun named Sister Carmel, and she sent me to the office, and I'm down there, and I'm just so happy that my move worked and all that. And I remember the one nun telling the other nun, and then that boy was violently kicking the other boy in the groin. And I was so proud. I was like, I've done it correctly.
Did you still get in trouble?
No, I told her, I said, look, I came to you 3 times. This kid was bothering me, and today he bothered me, and I fought back. And she was like, okay. I didn't know it was that serious. Yeah, right in the old ding ding.
I thought my dad is such a piece of shit because I was into karate, Ninja Turtles, Karate Kid, all that stuff. I wanted to take it, and I thought they were signing me up for karate, but in the same place they had karate, they did tap dancing. And my parents were into that movie. Like, what was that? That wasn't breaking, right? Or what was the tap?
What could be further from tap dancing but break dancing? The chorus line, all that jazz.
Yeah,
one of those things.
Some queefy thing. I mean, they also
Happy feet.
Yeah, my parents also used to have me sing romantic duets with my older sister for company. But instead of karate, they brought me there, and I thought I was like dressed in karate things, ready to karate chop somebody. And they were like, all right, here's your tap dance class. And my father, still one of the funniest things he's ever said, was like, it was like bringing a Wolverine on PCP into a dog show. He's like, I've never had less control over anything in my life. Like, I was an animal. I was ripping shit off the walls. I was shoving kids down. I threw the booties or whatever those queefy shoes are at the teacher. Like, I just had enough. I couldn't believe that they deceived me to that level.
Well, I didn't get deceived. My mother was very clear on what she was doing, but well, my best friend at the time, and of course his mother was my mom's best friend. His name was Danny O'Connell. He was taking music lessons, and I wanted to play guitar.
Mhm.
So we went down to sign me up for guitar lessons at the same place Danny was taking music lessons. And when we got there, my mother, who was single at the time, was very attracted to the music teacher, the one who taught accordion. So instead of playing guitar, I had to learn how to play the fucking accordion. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't understand. When do we do guitar? This is the worst thing ever. Yeah. My whole family was like, this is wonderful. I'm like, this fucking blows. The fact that you're all here shows how uncool it is.
Yeah, I think I took, because both of my sisters were musical prodigies, legitimately. Like, they were both,
really?
yeah, they were both like fluent on the piano at like 3 or 4 years old.
Oh,
like,
wow.
insane. And I am not. I'm not at all. And I took trumpet for like 2.5 weeks in 4th grade, but the teacher's nose covered so much of his face that it threw me off and I couldn't listen to him. I remember I remember coming home and telling my mom that, and her looking at me like, you're special needs. Like, I don't know what to do with that. How can't you focus because the guy's nose is too big?
It's hypnotizing.
Yeah, it was just too much. And that and the fucking spit valve, like, trumpet looks cool when you're watching somebody who's really good at it. And then you start playing it, it hurts your cheeks from blowing in it. You have to release spit. It's like, the stink cum that comes out of your freaking instrument. It's disgusting.
We used to live in like an apartment building, like where JJ lived in Good Times, like one of those apartment buildings.
Mhm.
And then in the 80s, like right on when Moonlighting was on and it was a big hit, they had this commercial of Bruce Willis where he was wearing like a guinea tank top and blue jeans and boots, and he just sit on the fire escape and play the saxophone. And I would just look out the window of my apartment building. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to play the saxophone. And the first time I ever tried to blow it, I thought I was going to pass out. And I went, fuck the saxophone. I'm never touching this thing again.
Yeah. I want to effortlessly play an instrument.
Kazoo.
Like, yeah. Well, kazoo would be cool, but like that's where the Matrix upload thing comes into play. You know what I mean? If I could lay in a chair and get a spike thrown into my skull and I can come out and play the mandolin, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Dude, that is what I find out is that when it comes to guitar, if you could play half of a couple of cool songs, that's all you need for like parties and stuff. My buddy Pete, we'd walk into a fucking party and everybody just be doing their own thing. And Pete, who looks like Alfred E. Newman plus 100 pounds, would just walk over there and grab a guitar and go, oh, a guitar. And he'd pick it up and he'd be like, and the whole party would look and come over to him. I tried to tell my son, I could play a few chords on the guitar. And my son's like, I want to learn how to do that. I go, you want to learn how to play guitar? And he goes, no, I just want to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I gave him the guitar and I taught him how to play 3 chords. And I was like, with your looks, that's all you need. You just need to sit at a party with 3 chords and let your long hair shake out and you'll get laid like crazy. Yeah.
It is pretty amazing. My music teacher was Gonzo from the Muppets. You're not far off. It was Dr. Loris. And our music program was called Orff Instruments. I forget what it stood for, but we had to learn the glockenspiel and the xylophone and the recorder when we were little. Yeah.
Oh, they were trying to make you a little one-man band.
It was definitely really weird, but music never. I just wish I could, because it would be one of those kind of effortless things. But instead, I would sing Phantom of the Opera for company when they would come over, and my sisters are both so good. Like, they have perfect pitch. They're still they're both voice actresses.
Oh,
so
really?
they still have perfect pitch. They can mimic, they can match, they can sing, like, all that stuff. And I have blunted and pubertied my way out of having any semblance of a good musical voice. But back then I was like, super pumped to just sing some Jesus Christ Superstar.
That's weird that they not weird, but for you probably awkward to be belting out in your kitchen with your sister.
Yeah,
old school fucking Les Mis.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I think in hindsight it was weird, because now looking back, or looking back at it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a goofy way. But in the time, I'm like, yeah, this is just how families are. It's all musical. Like, I didn't know, but once we got married, my wife and I, and then my family started coming in to their celebrations, and like we started intermingling. That's when I realized not all families are musical, because like my sisters would sit down they have this grand piano that's beautiful, but it's a complete showpiece. Nobody knows how to play it.
Right.
So my sisters sat down, they're playing, Christmas songs and singing along, and other, my sister's boyfriend is like playing the guitar, and everybody's singing, and like these Italians are watching. They're like, this is so nice to have music in the house.
Yeah, we never had any of that shit, man. And now, if we're all sitting around, I pull out the guitar, everybody goes, Jesus Christ, put the fucking thing away. Nobody wants me to ever play anything. I'm like, fuck everybody.
That's so funny. I love it though.
I had a kid that when I was with Bobby in Port Charlotte, that he was on before me, and he would talk about how his parents, he was Puerto Rican, used to make him and his brother do duets together, but they'd be making him do the LL Cool J Doing It song, and which is like a guy and a girl trying to fucking slut it up with each other.
Yes.
And he's like, and then my brother would be like, and then take it down and bend me over there. So I got up there and I was like, hey, give it up for that guy who probably fucked his brother.
Yeah, I know
so
that.
Sexy.
Dude, that song used to get me rock hard in 8th grade.
Well,
that was unreal.
We do karaoke on my morning show every once in a while, and we did duets with our wives. And my wife and I did that song together. And I will put 100% effort into any of that shit that I do. I don't care how stupid I look. I just can't rap. I can throw a Beastie Boys song at me, I'll go for it. But I could not get on the cadence with it.
Really?
My wife was like, she grew up with the fucking chulos. She was laying it down, and she's got a good voice, so she sounded hot. And then she had to drop an N-bomb in that song. And then, I was like, this is the hottest shit I've ever seen in my life. I was like, this is great. She looked at me, she's like, I need a roughneck. And I was like, what? Yeah.
Dude, I had to just film an audition singing the N-word.
Really?
Yeah, and I was for a Netflix show, and I slated, and the first thing I said into the camera was like, if this is just a ploy to get me to film myself saying the N-word, I'm gonna be really pissed.
Was it like a rap song, or was it a song
So
that rhymed with bigger?
Yeah. No, it was a personal choice that I made. It wasn't in the script, but
Mike, what will you be singing for us today? This song I wrote about the N-word, you'll love it. Sit back.
No, I think the joke is that I'm saying it while others are dropping out,
Right,
so
right.
It was the Kanye and Jay-Z song Where They Are in Paris.
Paris, yes.
Yeah.
So I went to see Jay-Z in Orlando, and he sang that song, and obviously a bunch of other songs. But he when it was over, it was me, my wife, and my buddy Pete, and I think he had a girl with him. And when we were walking out, we were just kind of slow walking out, the lights were on, and I turn around and there's no Pete, and I see him over there, and he's talking to these 3 black girls, and they were like 3 older fat black girls, and I was like, what the fuck's he doing? And he leaned in, he's talking to them, and he's like, all right, and he's smiling, walked away. And I go, what the fuck was that all about? He goes, they wanted to ask me a question. I go, what? He said, they want to know when I'm here and I'm singing along to the songs, do I say the N-word? And I go, what did you say? And he goes, I don't know. Of course I do. I'm from Chicago. I go, was that acceptable to them? He goes, yeah. I go, I just looked at him and I go, of course, baby, I'm from the Chi. And they were like, okay.
I like how they were like, you aren't going to skimp us, are you?
Yeah. We expect it from you, but not from him. Yeah. Did I ever tell you about Jay-Z? Jay-Z and he thinks that he kind of knows me.
No.
So before Jay-Z was really a thing, Pete and I went out to Las Vegas to see Holyfield Lewis 2 at the Thomas and Mack Center. And I had press passes, which we've never used before or anything outside of Tampa.
This is Lennox Lewis?
Yeah, Holyfield Lewis 2, Lennox Lewis. Okay. They fought it was probably like 1997, maybe even earlier than that. So there was a guy, I forgot his name. He was a boxing analyst, a white guy, wore a fedora. Fuck, I can't remember his name, but he was pretty famous. He'd be on the TV all the time talking about boxing. He knew all the boxers, and he was wearing a green suit with like question marks on it, like the Riddler would wear. He was a real eccentric guy. So I had just interviewed him the day before. So when I'm checking in to get my credentials, I see him and I go, oh, hey, I spoke to you yesterday. He goes, oh, good interview. He's like, walk with me. And I'm like, okay. So he had to go somewhere and we're walking with him. And we're definitely where we're not supposed to be. We passed Matthew Broderick and Jessica Horseface. and all these celebrities from the 90s at the time are just all walking either with us or opposite way. Then all of a sudden, Eddie Murphy and an entourage walks by, and Pete and I looked at each other like, what the fuck are we doing here? So eventually, they brought us to a room where it just had nothing but celebrities, and we bowed out before we got kicked out. We were like, well, thanks. Good talking to you. See you tomorrow. We went outside, like where the loading was, where they were actually bringing celebrities in through the back door. And as we walked out, Jay-Z was walking by, and I looked at Pete and I go, holy shit, that's Jay-Z. And he wasn't super famous at the time. And he turns and he looks like to see who said it, and he goes, oh, baby, hey. And he came over and he gave me a hug, and he's like, how you been? I'm like, good, how you doing? He's like, all right, enjoy the fight. Yeah, man, good seeing you too. My friend's like, how the fuck do you know Jay-Z? I go, I don't know Jay-Z at all. I have no idea. And then years later, when Warren Sapp was huge on the Buccaneers and the Bucs were just tearing it up every week, a lot of celebrities were coming to watch him play. And Michael Jordan would come all the time because him and Sapp were Nike guys. And Jay-Z came to a game with Russell Simmons and some other people. And we go to get on the elevator, and Jay-Z had this bodyguard. I'm a big guy. This bodyguard had to be like 7 foot, 400-pound Mexican dude. He was huge. And I go to walk in and he goes, nah, closed. And I was like, okay. Like there was only 3 people on the elevator. And then Jay-Z goes, no, he good. Come on in. And I walk in. He goes, how you been, baby? I go, hey, good. And my friend's like, you fucking know Jay-Z? I'm like, I don't know Jay-Z. Dude, this happened so many times. And then when we went to see him at that show in Orlando, it was in the round, and we were like in the 3rd row in the center, and he turned around and he's like, let me see the people. And they shine the lights. And he look around and he looks, he goes, I see you. And he points at Pete.
Oh my,
like, he fucking knows you, dude.
So
I don't know who it is that I look like or what he thinks, but he definitely, every time I see him, he goes out of his way to say hi to me.
Oh my God. Yeah. And he's never been on your show or anything?
Never been on my show. And I knew a lady that worked for Def Jam at the time. So she would like coordinate these guys coming in, and her and Pete were pretty close. So Pete would always be around him, and he'd never recognize Pete. But then he'd see me and he'd be like, oh, what's up, baby? I'm like, hey.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I don't know what it is, but I love it. And I hope I don't see him for another 5 years, but I hope when I see him again, it happens again. I'll be so happy.
He just knows you.
Or I keep waiting to watch a documentary about Jay-Z and just see some fat Italian guy, and I go, oh, that's who he
it's his favorite uncle.
Yeah.
Have you interviewed a lot of rappers?
No, because I've only done rock music and country music, but I've had over the years I've met a lot of the guys, and been around them for one reason or another. I dated a girl who used to be the music director at a rap station in Tampa, so I'd been in the presence of a lot of people. But no, I would love to. I could talk to rap guys all day. I love that shit.
Yeah,
they're they don't give a fuck about nothing answers. That would be great.
I think you and DaBaby would have a pretty fantastic conversation.
I love DaBaby. I have not loved the rapper as much, and I only know him because my son listens to all that stuff.
Yeah,
and I looked at my son, and we don't really talk about, like, 'cause I don't hide sex stuff from him, but we're never like, hey, you get any pussy this weekend? Like, never, nothing like that at all. I just want to, like, he's got a girlfriend, and I'm always like, hey, use condoms and stuff. That's the weird conversation we have. But we're driving, and DaBaby is the dirtiest motherfucker ever. And I look at my son, and he looks at me, and he kind of laughs, and I go, clearly, DaBaby has 2 problems. He gets his dick sucked too much, and he always makes him late for a flight. Every song is about how he almost missed a plane because he was getting his dick sucked.
Yep. Yeah, that's why he ends up hitting the women so often.
Right. But you made me late for the plane by sucking my dick so good.
It is fun. It's reaching like the crucial age where I need to, even the censored version of the song I can't play for my kid because he'll, the other day he literally goes, yeah, DaBaby. And I was like, okay, that's literally the end of that.
And DaBaby likes to say the N-word a lot.
He drops it pretty frequently.
I came home one day and I was like, listen, I'm all for racial equality, but the one thing that is perpetuating the N-word is black rappers. If they didn't say it so much, it would probably fade away. But DaBaby says it enough in one song to make you want to say it 100 times more. He makes it sound so much fun.
He does make it sound cool.
Yeah.
He makes everything sound cool. I mean, that all of his videos too. And I only recently found this out because I started following on him on Instagram. This was, pre his "everybody has AIDS, who's gay"
Yeah.
statement. But he like directs and conceptualizes all of his music videos,
Yeah.
and they're really funny and weird and like kind of cool, like shot in a cool way, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy is multi-talented.
Did you see the one? There's a video on YouTube where he was shooting out, I think in Georgia somewhere, and they were shooting at a house, and a real gang rolled up because they were in their property without permission or whatever.
Mhm.
And everybody's like, "Holy shit, what do we do? What do we do?" And the baby's like, "I got this shit." And he rolled up and he's like, "We're shooting a video." Like he just got right in their face. I was like, "All right, we're cool."
Wow.
It was all caught on tape and it's on YouTube. It's pretty badass.
Oh my god, no kidding. I'm definitely gonna look that up.
I like the baby. I like Pop Smoke.
Mm.
I learned all these things from my kid. I can't roll around in my car listening to it because I look like I'm going through some sort of crisis or something. But
I know. It's so funny. Like, I think I'm the only one. I'm not the only one. I think it's just people my age probably that are really hanging on to 90s hip hop for dear life, because Nas just came out with a new album, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's a fantastic album too. The whole thing. It's just like vintage Nas, and I'm like trying to talk about it to people. They're like, yeah,
call my wife. She will talk to you about it for days if you'd like.
real no shit.
Oh my God, she's from North Plainfield, and you would never know that she has any love for rap unless you bring up Nas, Wu-Tang, or Q-Tip. What is that Tribe Called Quest?
Yeah.
Holy shit, she loves all. You would never know that in a million years until you just bring it up in front of her. She'd be like, "Oh, I know this," and then she could rap too. It's hilarious.
That's so fun. That's real East Coast. That's why. So, do you feel any geographical connection to Wu-Tang?
No, dude, I graduated in '85. I feel more of a geographical connection to Bon Jovi than I do to Wu-Tang. The only time I ever got excited for Wu-Tang was one of the lines. The guy's like 10304. I'm like, hey, I'm 10306. We're right next door to each other. Then I saw their cribs, and I was like, yeah, I didn't live in that fucking neighborhood. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear something else embarrassing? The only time I've ever been to the neighborhood where Wu-Tang lives or where they're from was me and Donna Hine were going to Madison Square Garden to go see Boy George. No. Go see George Michael in concert. And we were trying to get to the Verrazano Bridge, which we can see from where we were.
Yeah.
And we made the wrong turn, and we ended up in the projects that were really bad. And we couldn't get to the bridge. So we pulled up to a cop, and we're like, excuse me, can you tell us how to get to the bridge? And the cop gets out of the car. He goes, you know where the fuck you are? And we're like, no. And we're like, but we see the bridge. He goes, listen to me. You're going to go to that stop sign, and you're going to make a right, and you're going to keep going until you see the bridge. And don't stop for anybody, not even another cop. We were like, okay.
Do 100.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it, man. And then when I realized that was Wu-Tang, I was like, yeah, that's why I don't relate to them. I know nothing about it.
Well, there's nothing quite as shocking as an aerial view of the projects to put things into perspective. DeStefano used to live in this beautiful, like, luxury building in Long Island City, right? And it looked right out onto the 59th Street Bridge. So you could see all of Manhattan and just the, financial wealth and, all that, the bustling city, all that shit. This is pre-2020. And then you look to the right of the bridge, and like a dead pine tree forest, just brown, like just buildings just right there in this big stack. And you're like, God, that's where Nas is from. That's where like Mobb Deep, all those dudes, Queensbridge, that's a fucking rough ass area. And you could like see and smell it from here.
Over here is where all the wealth is. Over here is nobody give a fuck about this area land. That was it, dude. I'm telling you, I lived in the projects, but not nearly as bad as that. And it was the worst thing about the projects. And we lived on the first floor. The worst thing about it was the smell that was always in the building. It didn't smell like garbage. It didn't smell like shit. It was just a weird old building smell. And there was nothing romantic about it, because you could walk into a brownstone that's been, from the 1910s. You're like, this is great. Yeah. There was nothing great about that. We were lucky because we lived on the first floor, but the way the island was, the mountain was over there, it was like our kitchen window was the only window that was ground level, and the rest were like it ended up being like the second or third story on the other side. So I always felt kind of safe in the back end of the apartment, but never the front.
Yeah, I think I spent some time because I've had a few friends that have lived in the projects, and it kind of smells like it's almost like cafeteria after it was cleaned.
Yeah.
You know, like real sterile, but still visually dirty and kind of like dingy and shit. But you're just like, oh, it's not matching. The senses aren't matching.
These scumbags that lived there, which was the problem because the building itself and the apartments were actually pretty nice. We had a huge 2-bedroom apartment, and there was a lady on the second floor, Mrs. Call. I remember her, and everybody hated her because she had a piano in her house. So everybody thought she was rich, and they used to just treat the apartment like shit. So if they would have treated it nice, but I remember, I think the smell came from on Halloween. Everybody would go around with the shaving cream, and they would shaving cream inside the building, those jackasses, and then you can never get that smell out of there. So that's probably what I smell. And then the other thing was the garbage. You had to throw the garbage in an incinerator, and it was a big metal drawer that you'd pull down, and you'd stuff your garbage in there and close the drawer, and nothing, even a pizza box wouldn't fit in there. So you literally have to take your garbage out of the garbage.
Oh God,
dude, and then it was a fire that they didn't light until like the middle of the night, so your garbage would just pile up and stink. That was the worst experience ever.
That's like a compost holocaust. It's disgusting.
I don't miss that shit at all. I actually took my son there one time, and I wanted him to see it. I was like, this is where I live. You will never live here. I said, we will kill before we move back to something like this. I promise you.
That's cool that you did that. So I'm performing out in Levittown, and I have before, but Levittown, Long Island at the end of this month. And my father and I don't like, we're kind of on the mend, but we've had a long embattled relationship, very like, you know, sometimes violent, just wild and all that shit. And we're just now kind of coming out of it because he's a feeble old dude. And I'm performing out in Levittown, so in an effort to find out literally anything about my father's childhood, I'm taking him and making him take me to different parts of the town that were important to him and that remind him of his childhood, so he can like tell me some story. And of course, I'm filming it for the Patreon, but because why would we let that go to waste? You know, just decades of conflict.
I remember I heard Howard a while ago, a couple of years ago. He was talking to Gary, and Gary was talking about how he was interviewing his parents and members of the family so that he would have that stuff. And I thought that was so good, but I don't know why. Bobby always says I'm emotionless, but I'm not. But I don't want to sit down and ask my parents and aunts and uncles questions and tell me about this. I mean, I'd watch the movie if there was a movie, but I don't want to be the fucking Scorsese of the whole thing.
That's so funny. I think I think the best project that I ever did for school was we had to ask our immigrant family members like about their experience coming over to America. And my grandmother wrote like a 30-page letter for my third grade class or fourth grade class, and I still have it, and it details like really vividly and you know, almost in real time her experience coming over from Ireland into Ellis Island and all of that, and meeting my grandfather at all these weird socials, and that was really cool. And I really don't think that my father has told me a single story about his childhood.
It's so funny. I won't shut the fuck up to my kids. I'm forcing them to hear about all my child. And then I met Michael Jordan, and then I did this. And when I was a kid, I went here. I can't stop. But like, shut the fuck up already. Right. It's so weird that our parents are the complete opposite. I guess that's why I'm a talker.
I think that. Well, I'm an overcorrection. I say that on stage too, because my set can get a little sex heavy, and for Puritans, I guess, which there are more of these days, weirdly enough, they get like a little weird. And I'm like, listen, I understand. Like, I'm an overcorrection. Nobody in my family has talked about sex ever in the history of the Cannons and Bardens and all that. I'm just jizzing it out because I can't believe like this is out there. Like, you know, it's like, this is what I'm amazed by it still.
I said to my wife when we were like, what are we going to tell Joey about sex, you know, when he was younger? And she's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do it. You do it. And then I said, look, I think it makes sense that when he starts asking questions and he's mature enough to realize that babies just don't get born in your stomach, then we'll tell him the truth. And she's like, okay. And then one day he's like, I don't understand. How did you guys know you were gonna have a baby? And I looked at her and I was like, it's time. And she's like, all right, you do it. I was like, that's fine. So we got in the car, and he was probably like around, I don't know, I want to say 7 or 8 maybe. And we were driving, and I go, okay. I said, you know, when you asked about babies before, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, there's a reason why you're confused. I said, I'll tell you everything, but it might be a little uncomfortable because it involves guys and girls. And he was like, okay. And I go, are you ready for this? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you're not gonna believe this shit. That's exactly how I started to do. I go, you're not gonna believe this shit. Because I know he was just finding his pecker about that time. Yeah. I go, it gets good, man. You're not gonna believe it. And then I told him, and he was like, oh, okay. I read something, you know, about the sperm, and I was like, yeah. And he was fine with it for the next day. And now I don't. And now he says he's not doing it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
He's on his second girlfriend, and they're constantly just laying around together. So I just assume, but I don't care. I mean, that's about how old we were. So not me and you. We didn't do it to each other, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I wish. I was 15, and it was with my wife.
I like the idea of his girlfriend's parents watching the podcast until they find out.
I think they know their daughter's a little bit of a harlot. I mean, I was sitting in my living room one time, and they have like parties with like 10 people, 10 kids in my house all the time. They're all such great kids. I told my wife the other day, I said, if they're not blowing rails of cocaine in the car every once in a while and lying to us, they're the best group of kids ever. They're polite. Thank you, Mr. Calta. Thanks for having me over. It would be okay if I get a water. I was like, yeah, are you guys fucking this nice? Because my son's not. So I'm sitting on the couch in the living room playing guitar, ironically, and they're all outside by the pool. And then at one point, all the girls came in together, and just trail of tea bags went by, and I just looked at my wife and I was like, I can't be around here anymore. I gotta go. This is just, it was uncomfortable for me. I was like, this is just to have young girls running around I mean, it wasn't that I couldn't control it. I was like, it's just odd for me to be around it, you know? All right. For those of you who don't know, Bobby is finishing out his vacation, so he's not here. Mike was nice enough to sit in and with me and Mush today. Now, I don't know if you know, but do you know about the cruise that they had to switch the dates?
I did, yeah.
Are you good with that? Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. They haven't given. Okay, good. So I thought it was a COVID thing, and I was like, oh, we're fucked. But evidently there was something with that boat where that boat was scheduled, and another boat broke down, so they had to shift them out. But we're still on the same boat, which is great because supposedly it's a really nice one.
Nice.
And we're just leaving earlier.
Hell yeah.
So I'm so excited for it, and it's selling really well. So I was telling Mush the other day, I will know probably come January how many rooms we have, because the more you sell, the more free rooms they give you, and and you know who we could bring with us. We could bring Mush with us, or where else we go. I think we're gonna have a great time. Well, let's wrap things up. Thank you for joining us on the show. Oh, wait a second. Coming to us live from the mountains of New Hampshire. Is that where you are?
Hi guys, how are you? You know, why do you
I
have
love
to
it
be
when you
negative,
chase
Mike?
Daredevil through the comics. What did I do?
Me?
Why do you have to be negative? Not you, Mike Cannon. You're very positive. My partner. Why can't he be like, hey man, look who joined? Oh wow, he's got to go negative. He's got to go Italian. He's got to go Staten Island. Oh, let's wrap it up. Why can't you be happy to see me?
I'm so happy to see you in your natural environment.
What's that? The ocean?
You look like they shaved the bear last night.
You look like a bear.
I know. A gay one.
It does look like a compound was built at the zoo for you.
There's no doubt there's a tire on a swing to your left.
A bathing tub.
Some beach balls.
All right. This is my uncle's fucking compound. He's got the guest house down there where we're staying. This is his house. He's got a fucking chipping green up there. He's got a full putting green over there. I mean, this is like a, $2 million house he has now. He bought the land $30,000, him and my uncles, around, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago. And then he booted my two uncles out, and he built this I mean, dude, it's a fucking mansion. He's got a wine cellar. He's got a pool, ping pong. And I mean, the back of the woods right up there, you just walk out there and go hunting.
That's awesome.
It's fucking
That's
crazy.
great.
Yeah, he's got a hot tub over there. He's a member of the association. You go down, go on Squam Lake. Only certain people can go there, and it's pretty wild.
You want to see how old I am? You ready for this? What's the weather like there?
Dude, it's so I don't know. It's warm cold. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Like you got like you wish you had a shawl but not a jacket.
I mean, it's so fucking. I was down the beach yesterday at the lake, and the sun was going down, and it was warm cold, and I fell asleep. My fucking neck just folded over, and I was just like, and I didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, fuck it. It's so cool. It's so relaxing up here. I would definitely retire up here half the year. Like,
Really?
do summers here, winters in Florida.
My daughter was asking me the other day, like in an angry way, why you haven't moved there yet.
Well,
here, like to Florida. She's like, I don't understand. Okay. Why can't they just do it like next week? And I was like, well, it's more to it than that, honey.
Well, I still look. I honest to God look every day. But here's the fucking problem. Every time I go there, and it's when I stay at your house. The first time I stayed at your house, I was like, this is awesome. I want to move down here. And then I go to bed around 11:30, and then around 12:30, your backyard's lit up with the fucking whoop 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 ski.
Someone's playing Louis Prima records.
It was fucking. I mean, dude, I was petrified. It's like, what the fuck makes that noise?
I hear that fucking cricket behind you right now.
Yeah, one fucking cricket at night. That's what you hear up in New Hampshire. Creak, creak, creak. In your backyard. Why, I. Squee-oo, squee-oo. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
They are very vocal. I was driving home the other day, Sunday afternoon. It was probably like 6 o'clock at night. And there were 14 deer on my neighbor's lawn. 14. That's a whole herd of deer.
Yeah, but here's the difference. Up here, those deer will be fucking murdered and eaten. Where you live, you guys are like, don't hurt the alligators. Watch out for the turtles. Shut your lights off at 7 because the turtles are fucking. I mean, what a bunch of fucking cookies.
You're so right. We rented a house on the beach one time, and I went in the bedroom and turned the lights on. Then I had to pee, so I went to pee, and all of a sudden I was banging on the door. I was like, "What the fuck?" Banging, open the door. I was like, I was a woman screaming. I opened the door, and I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Turn off the lights." I go, "What are you saying to me?" And she's like, "The turtles, turn off the lights." I had no idea what she was talking about, but I guess the light at night, because they migrate at night, when you turn a light on, it fucks up where they're going. Yeah. So, but she said it as if I was stomping on turtles in the room. Oh,
fuck turtles. Fuck them. I hope they all choke on straws. And the last time I fucking went, my soul was taken from me, from the heat.
Melting.
Literally, the fucking heat down there. I went on your back right after your show. I went on your back. Lennar, is that what you call it? Lennar? And I went on your Lanai, and I sat out there with a cigar and a nice coffee, and my soul was ripped from me, and my spirit walked behind me 1.5 feet for the next day and a half. Then I was like, all right, maybe that was just me. Maybe I was sick. Maybe something happened. Maybe his house was haunted. Then we go down to Port Charlotte or wherever the fuck we were, and it happened again. It's like the heat is like fucking nuts.
Yeah, it is pretty insane. It's the worst time. I remember I have friends that moved here in like March, and they were like, "Ooh, the heat is really bad." And I go, "You haven't seen shit, buddy." And they're like, "I can't be much hotter than this." And come June, your fucking forehead melts when you walk to your car. It's disgusting. But even for a fat guy, I'm kind of used to it now. I don't like it at all, one bit. I don't like it, but I'm used to it. I learned how to work around it.
Listen, here's how you worked around it. And this is why you're different than me. Okay. I like that. I like going in the woods. We went on a hike yesterday. We went for fucking an hour, 2 hours in the woods and walked around as a family. Dude, you go from a car AC to a restaurant AC to a house AC to a building AC. You do not spend any time outside whatsoever. You don't walk. You don't hike. You don't go into the woods.
None of these things are true. First of all, I walk to my mailbox every day, and I have a long driveway. You can tell. I was in the pool a lot this weekend, which is not only outside but in the water. And I also bike a lot. So yes, I don't spend a lot of time outside, but I go from AC to AC because it's hotter than the fucking planet Pluto over here. It was 106 degrees.
Yeah,
Bob,
yeah,
you're gonna
that's what
get
I'm
Lyme.
saying.
You're gonna get Lyme disease,
dude. Lyme disease don't fuck with me, Cannon.
Why? Because only celebrities get it.
I don't like that he set me up for that joke.
I know. I didn't realize I
he
did.
Hasn't said he hasn't said a word in 10 minutes, and he's just waiting to lob that fucking dumb tick joke in there.
Hey, real quick, Mike's gonna sing you the song he sang in an audition the other day. Take it away, Mike.
Oh,
I can't do it.
Let me shut my mic off. Go ahead, Mike. Go. My mic's off.
No, it was an inappropriate song.
What was it?
It was a rap song with some N-bombs in it.
Wow.
Yeah,
you can't do that anymore.
Well, I know, and they asked for it.
You ever see the Jackie Robinson movie?
No.
42. Oh, you never seen it? It's a really good movie.
Chadwick Boseman played.
Yeah.
Jack. Yeah. No, I haven't seen it.
All right. You know who the guy who plays a pirate in Dodgeball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I forgot his name, but he is in that movie, and he plays one of the racist opposing team coaches. And Boseman's up at bat, and he's just like, I mean, I can't even imitate him because it'll get me canceled for life. But he's like, N-word, N-word, N-word. Come on, N-word. You can do it, N-word. And I interviewed him, and I was like, hey, did you improvise that, or was that in
the I haven't seen him in anything since either.
Dude, it is so uncomfortable.
You know how I'm in such New Hampshire that I thought you were going to start saying the N-word actually, and I didn't even faze me. I was just like, I bet you if you said it, I'd have people come over with fucking like lemonade. And...
We didn't know, welcome. But now we know. Oh, well, I'm glad you joined us because you're just in time, ladies and gentlemen. With the new 5, please welcome Joe Russell.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need a second.
Oh.
We've been bushed. Oops. I thought you Adam. I thought you'd do the new 5 thing.
Hello, everybody.
What's the new 5 thing?
Don't you play the music?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, buddy.
He did play the intro, but it's my fault. Is he told me Joe was ready 20 minutes ago. Then we started talking to you, and I was like, "Oh shit, we got to get to Joe." So sorry, Mush. I mushed you.
No problem.
Are you in a reverse attic? What kind of stairs are
This is a basement. It's a kitchen basement.
That's called the Buffalo Bungalow.
That's pretty badass.
It's called the Italian family's second kitchen.
Looks like the bunker from Blast from the Past.
I wish I had a bunker so bad just to hang out in it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Joe's got a brand new 5 for us today. His hair is glorious. His beard is glorious. What do you got, Joe?
His hair looks like a hat.
Lou with the nature joke.
What'd she say?
Lou said, "Now you'll really hear crickets."
Lou's been on fire.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
Did you guys hear about Cheez-Its?
No.
They're becoming woke. Yeah, Cheez-Its are changing their name to Cheese They Thems. Cheese balls were pissed too. They said, with all due respect to Cheese They Thems, we're proud of our balls and you shouldn't be ashamed to put them in your mouth.
Yeah. Bold.
And of course, this is all just 1 week after Chester Cheeto got Me Too'd. He denied groping an intern, but they found his orange fingerprints on her ass.
Wasn't me.
He said, Your Honor, it's not easy being sleazy.
If that was a pass from a quarterback, I would have picked that off and ran it back for a touchdown.
I'm so happy that my phone said I have 5% battery left.
I was on a flight the other day, and they told us that our pilots were a father and son team. I thought that was cool until I heard them arguing in the cockpit. Listen, mister, you better straighten out. Don't try and air traffic control me, Dad. Hey, I don't like your altitude. I can't take the pressure in this cabin, old man. That's it, I'm landing this plane. You're grounded. Anyway, that's the last time I fly Southwest. Too much baggage.
Hey, by the way, that had to really happen to you. You couldn't just come out of the blue.
I saw an article about flight team. News jokes ripped from the headlines.
You're a regular Jay Leno.
I read an article
ripped from the headlines and thrown in shit.
I read another article that said before abortions were legal, there were back alley abortions. And then I read about bowling alley abortions. Just as horrible, but you have to rent shoes.
I like that one. That was a good one.
Speaking of renting clothes, I had to rent a tuxedo for a wedding. It's kind of like renting a car. They're like, you want the extra insurance? I said, what will that buy me? They said, well, if anything happens to the suit, you don't have to pay for it. I said, now that's a deal, or my nickname isn't Old Joe shits his pants at weddings all the time, Russell.
That's great. You learned the lesson. You used the funny stuff at the end.
It was good.
I'm learning. It took 45 times.
Hey, Joe, are you growing your hair to make a hat for a pork in India?
This is that buffalo hard water.
I did almost miss the last joke when Bobby swallowed a June bug in the middle of it.
Did you say a Jew bug?
You are starting to look more and more like Serpico every day.
Who's Serpico?
The cop from the 70s.
Who? What's his name? Joe?
Pacino, yeah.
Joe's hair is fucking disturbing. How, like, perfectly round it is.
It's symmetrical as fuck.
It looks like that hat that the guy from ZZ Top wears. It just fits over his head.
It looks like a Lego piece of hair.
Oh man! Well,
yeah, he really does. Yeah. Hey, Mike, thanks for fucking stepping up, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. I'm hosting YKWd after this. I'm driving both of your babies into the ground.
Are you really?
Listen, man,
I'm on YKWd.
What?
Who else is on YKWd?
Me, Vecchione, and Stone. Just a white renaissance.
I might have to watch that.
Hey, do me a favor. Don't take an edible, would you?
That's for the second half of the show. It's gonna be Mike. It's gonna be Mike takes edibles and does YKWd.
I'm grooming Mike. I didn't hear that. What did he say?
I said I'll get another guest.
Yes.
Oh. When are you back, Bobby?
I'm leaving first thing in the morning. I'm ready to come home so bad. I like to do vacation and to the point where you're like, I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if I'm like, oh, I wish I wasn't going, I stay another day. I am so ready to get the fuck back to gigging and working and
that's the whole point. That's the whole point of a vacation. Is you're actually reinvigorating yourself to be motivated once you get back.
Here's the problem, though, is that now that Max is 8, I have to deal with. Before it was like we have to do stuff. But then he'd take a nap. Now there's no naps. The second he wakes up, you're going until fucking until 10:30 at night. He's just let's go. And now you have to deal with like the other kids. You have to deal with those one kid hit him in the ball with the face of the beach yesterday. I had to go over and fucking, do all that shit you don't want to do. You wish the kids would just play and, you got to give your son life lessons. Today, though, check this shit out. We're at the land down the street, my land. The guy's fucking digging it up, making a road and all this shit. He's got a huge excavators. He's got a Bobcat. Max goes, he goes, I want to ride that Bobcat. I want to drive it. And the guy is, you know, the contractor, you know, he's an old school New Hampshire guy. He goes, Dimmy, you do this. You go get 3 inches taken off that hair and I'll let you drive it. Because Max had long hair. Max, we go out for breakfast. Max goes, take me up. I want to get my hair cut.
No shit.
So we take Max up to this barber, this fucking old lady. Don's like, listen, Bobby, let's just do it when we get home. I don't trust this lady. I go, it's a haircut. This broad fucked his hair up so bad. She went, she's used to cutting just fucking old white guys receding hairlines. You know what I mean? This kid goes in, he's got beautiful hair. So I'm like, so Don had to come in and no, do this. She had to tell the lady how to fucking fix his hair. He cut it all off, puts a hat on. He goes, let's go back to the land. Goes over. The guy's in the big goddamn excavator. He takes his hat off. He goes, give me the keys. Oh, dude, wait till you see this video. I got Max driving up the fucking road all the way around. He just jumped in the Bobcat.
Holy
and
shit.
The guy said, and he just started driving the fucking Bobcat. Dude, I swear to God.
That's amazing.
Oh, dude, I almost
beat up the guy that cut Joey's hair for the first time. When he was like 4 and he got a real big boy haircut, he was scared and he was like, and the guy like kind of grabbed him by the shoulder and he goes, hey, stop crying like a little girl. I was like, oh, buddy, you want to fucking cry like a little girl? Touch my son again. And see, I mean, me infuriated me.
Oh my God.
Bobby, if I get my hair cut, can I drive the Bobcat?
Crumbum said I could fight the Bobcat.
Yeah, but your Bobcat is right here, baby. That's what I call my cock.
You always look like a Ken doll whenever you're wearing shorts or long underwear like that. You look like you're very rounded in the crotch area.
Me?
Yeah, you're the only one I've seen in his underwear.
A Ken doll that has been left on the stove, right?
I hope that painting comes to life and that old cunt fucks the shit out of you. It gives you 1,600 warts on your dick.
Doesn't it look like? I hope that doesn't it look like she's squirting right now. Yeah. Like right on Cannon's head.
Yeah, I hope that ghost holds you down tonight and fucks the shit out of you.
Thank you. I would hope so. That'd be nice.
Actually, me and her have the same body. I have the same tits as her.
Just perfect pink nipples.
All right, so you're back on Friday?
I'll be back on Friday, back with Calta and Kelly, Liz Ive, and me and Mush are in, we're in fucking
East Providence, Rhode Island at the Comedy Connection.
Hell yeah.
Then August 26th to the 28th at the Punchline in Philly. Then September 2nd in Saratoga Springs, New York at Comedy Works. And then my number one best friend comes home back here to Side Splitters in Tampa, Florida. And then now are you staying for the birthday thing or are you doing this Fairfield gig?
What Fairfield gig?
Friday, September 17th, you have a gig in Fairfield, Connecticut at the Men's Warehouse or at the warehouse. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Did they double book me?
No, you've been saying for fucking 3 months, I got to get done to get that thing off there.
What fucking thing is it?
Friday, September 17th, Fairfield, Connecticut at the warehouse.
I got to fix that.
Fix it, goddammit. And then Saturday, the 25th in Patchogue, New York at the Patchogue Theater. And then Saturday, October 2nd, Levittown at Governor's. Friday, November 5th. Man, we're already into November. Skankfest South in Houston, Texas. Where Mike will be there as well. I'm sure all the Ladybug fans and favorites will be there. And then Friday, November 12th, back up in New York and Poughkeepsie at Laugh It Up. Good. Remember last year when you're like, I don't know, dude. I don't think anything's going to open up. Now look at you. Nonstop.
Yeah, dude, they're talking about closing everything because of your shit state. They're talking about fucking shutting the world down again just so that a fucking Republican doesn't become president in 3 years. Okay, they got fucking. They just took out Cuomo's gone. They're getting rid of everybody. It's a fucking wrap. So
I just went and switched party affiliations at the voter house.
Can I promote tomorrow night August 11th, Soul Joel's in Royersford. If any of your delightful Patreon members live in the Philly area or South Jersey, me, Sagalo, Feeney are doing a half stand-up, half podcast show. We're coming. We're a surprise guest. We have surprise characters, which should tip your hat if you listen to any of our shit.
Oh.
Frank Rigatone is going to be there. Same with Mary Jean. It's going to be a great show. Come on out. I think we've sold about 11 tickets, so I am.
I saw Lou said she was going to come out there.
Hell yeah.
The triplets out there in Philly. That's awesome. And then of course we've got the Calta cruise has been pushed. Actually brought in earlier, March 10th. Cannon's in, Bobby's in. Who knows who else we're going to add to it? Should be great. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Well, this one very well. I'm not allowed to say that. Every time I tell Bobby it was good, when he's not here, he gets mad.
You told me. You said what? Mike Mush said it was the best show we've ever done.
Today?
Okay.
No, I did a show with Steve Byrne on Friday, and I go, it went pretty good. And he goes, why do you always say that? I go, what? And you go, like, you always say how great it was. I go, honestly, because Mush was like, this is the best show we've ever done. Dude, Mush, he almost punched you through the phone.
That's great.
Well, real quick, I'll be with Bobby next week later this week in East Providence, Rhode Island. I probably won't be during the week at Laugh Out Loud that weekend because it's Jeff Ross out of Giannis Pampas now. But they are letting me do the Sunday by myself, so please come up to that show because if no one comes, I won't get paid.
Hey, Mush, what about you didn't tell us you were in Suicide Squad?
Oh, that's a SAG thing. So,
did you see that, Bobby?
You mean a fag thing?
I was watching Suicide Squad, and there's a scene where the guy looks just like Mush.
He really does. Holy shit.
Check out Joe Russell and the Cheese Show. You search Cheese Show on YouTube and go and subscribe and like it, and find them on Instagram. I think a new Cheese Show went up today. I saw that
Wednesday,
it was Wednesday. And then there's the guy who used to live in the Cheese Show room talks about having sex in the Cheese Show room, and I believe Olivia gets a little turned on. There's cheese whiz everywhere. Those are my cheese jokes. Cannon, thank you. Joe Russell, thank you. Mush, thank you. Ladybugs, thank you. Bobby, enjoy the last hours of your vacation, and we'll be back Friday on the Patreon only show.
Yeah.
See you guys.